What's going on, everybody? Mike here for ironinfidel.com, and today we're going to be talking about electronic optics, or red dots, specifically on pistols, because electronic optics have not always been well received for one reason or another. We're going to go over some of those reasons today, and there are still people out there, especially in law enforcement or working for other agencies, where the command staff or the department has taken a stance where they will not let you carry a red dot on a pistol, even though they'll issue you a red dot for a rifle. And we're going to talk about not only why it is a level up, why it's probably a good thing to have a red dot on a pistol, and if you're struggling with your agency, how to maybe speak to them to get them to at least approve you to buy and carry your own red dot. And then there's the crowd of firearms instructors out there that say you should probably shoot iron sights first, then maybe move to an optic, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I used to subscribe to that, and we're going to go through why I've changed my opinion on that, so you guys have a really good understanding of not only the benefits, maybe some of the holdbacks of a red dot on your pistol, but all of the things that it could do for your agency to use as a selling point to get you some red dots issued, or if not allowed, by your department. Now, one thing everybody in our industry out there has always been on board with is staying healthy and staying hydrated. So make sure you go to ironinfidel.com, check out our battle bottles. We got the small ones, we got the big ones, because we know that's what your girl is into. We got the fitness equipment so you can stay healthy and stay hydrated. Link down below in the description. It helps the channel, keeps the lights on, so please take advantage of that. When it comes to red dots specifically mounted on pistols, there are really three big arguments that I hear out there in the industry, and we're going to dissect these in a minute, but these are the ones I hear mostly from your old red shirt on the range. If you don't know what the red shirt on the range is, those are usually your firearms instructors, some of which are normally a little older, have a little bit more age under the belt, some of which usually believe that round is a shape, and they say that's how they are in shape. I'm sure we've all heard these jokes before out there on the range if you work for a government entity. But these are the three big things that you'll usually hear from these types of people. The first big argument is that the fundamentals need to be learned first. And I know that sounds funny, but hold on, we're going to dissect that one soon. The next one is going to be, it could fail. And the last one is going to be, it is a crutch because you don't really know how to shoot. Let's go ahead and dissect each of these arguments, starting with you need to learn the fundamentals first before you add a red dot or go from irons to a red dot, which to me makes zero sense, because whether you're using iron sights or a red dot, are any of the fundamentals actually different? Everything from the bottom. Let's think about our stance, foot positioning, your grip, your trigger control, your sight picture, which is aligning whatever your sighting system is to the target, whether it's irons or a red dot. I would say there is nothing different about the fundamentals between a red dot and iron sights. Everything else, right down to the trigger control, has to be the same. The only slight difference is your target picture and how you're acquiring it. That's versus hard front sight focus is what you're going to hear on the range all the time with irons, or target focus, superimposed dot over target. That's really the only difference. All of the rest of the fundamentals have to be there, because if you pull a shot, the shot's getting pulled whether it's irons or a red dot. So that argument goes out the window right off the bat. The next big one is it could fail. Well, I would tell you anything in this world can fail, whether it's your ammunition, the pistol itself, the sighting system that's on there, because what do most striker fired pistols come with these days? Plastic sights. I've seen those things come off of guns out there a lot on the range. Even metal sights coming in and out of a Bearcat, a SWAT vehicle, a military MRAP, something like that. You bang the front or the rear sight. I've seen those get damaged from all of these things. Now, is there more maintenance with the red dot? Absolutely. But just because something can break doesn't mean it's not worth carrying. It's all about how much force or damage you're putting on an object, right? So are iron sights maybe a little bit more durable? Probably. Is that little bit of durability gain worth losing a little bit of speed, target acquisition, and being target focused worth that difference? Well, to me it is. And the last thing about it could fail is, since it's electronic, it needs a battery. Well, I would just say this: are you going to stop driving your vehicle just because it needs a battery every couple years? I seriously doubt you're going back to the horse and buggy, right? So just be consistent with battery changes. Yes, most good manufactured red dots will give you 3 to 5 years of battery life, 50,000 hours, 30,000 hours, whatever it is. Change the battery every year. Just do it on your birthday, do it on the first of the year, pick a date, run with it, and just be consistent with it, because it's not the optic I'm worried about, it's the quality of the batteries most times. I've seen batteries come right out of the box dead with the manufacturer's optic. I've bought brand new name brand batteries from the store, and half of them were full charge, the other half of them lasted a month. So be consistent with battery changes and check the things daily, weekly, monthly, whatever you need to do to ensure your battery is functional. Many optics these days will give you an alert via a blinking dot or something to let you know you're towards the end of the battery. And then of course, we've got a lot of options that have solar style panels on the top to keep that thing running if you're in a lit, well bright environment. And the last one here is usually from the older crowd that says the red dot is a crutch. And all I have to say that is really boomer. And I say that with a little bit of love. I got nothing but love from my older crowd out there. But these are probably the same people that in the late 90s, early 2000s were against putting a red dot on a rifle because it was an electronic optic and it could fail as compared to iron sights. And we all see where that's gone, right? So this is just the next evolution in management of your weapon system, right? You're adding things to it that are levels up. It's not a crutch, because a crutch would be something that you would have to use to be able to engage the target. Remember, going back to the fundamentals of shooting, it's the same, you just have a different sighting system. And though it is not a crutch, most people will find it a level up. 1 for speed, 2 for accuracy, and 3, you get to remain target focused. Now that's huge in the military and law enforcement because you always have to have that positive ID, and uncertain, tense, and rapidly evolving circumstances, things can change in an instant. And if you are front sight focused and your target is blurry in the background, you don't get that hard target focus to see an immediate change that's going to change your decision-making process. So that is extremely important. Let's get into the biggest positives here. So fundamentals aside, you should already have that down. There are really 3 major benefits to think about, and you can use a lot of this information to talk to your command staff or human resources, whatever, to try and get red dots implemented. And this information is going to be pretty consistent across the board if you talk to people that have made the transition from iron sights to issuing or allowing officers to carry optics. The biggest benefit to a red dot, with the fundamentals aside, because you should already know how to shoot, is staying target focused. So if you are dealing with a subject and you're in the law enforcement or military world, you have to consistently, positively identify the situation, the suspect, what is going on, what's in their hand. Is it a knife? Is it a gun? Is it a cell phone? And if you are hard front sight focused out there, that could be a problem. Once you've maybe presented that pistol on target, that situation can change in an instant. If you think about this, how many times have you dealt with a subject? Maybe they have some form of weapon that's not a firearm. It could be a knife, could be a bat, could be a crowbar. And as you present your pistol, because you might have to use force, that situation changes instantly. Now, if you begin transitioning to a iron sight system where your eye is going to focus on the rear sight, then the front sight, you're looking for that equal height, equal light thing that we talk about, you are not focusing on the target anymore. With a red dot, you can remain focused on that target the entire time. And if that scenario changes in an instant, you now have that last minute attempt and ability to change your response to the scenario, which is a big wall against litigation, because everything's on camera these days. And that instant change that suspect does takes a second, a quarter second, 1/8 second for your brain to realize, then the body reacts. Staying target focused will help you in a scenario like that more than hurt you if you're trying to transition from an iron sight system, from front sight, rear sight, equal height, equal light. You're trying to make that last minute decision. So explaining things like that to the command staff can definitely help you out, especially when you get a hold of the legal person over at Human Resources or your department lawyer and start explaining these things to them. There are also white papers out there written by people like Aaron Cowan, and he can get a lot of information your way. He's posted it online to help your agency transition from iron sights into a red dot system. The second big positive here is speed and accuracy. So when the agency I worked for transitioned into pistol dots, there was an immediate response from officers from pretty much every age bracket. And the consistency was that they were able to pick up the target, pick up the dot, usually fire that round a little bit faster, and they were far more accurate, especially officers with aging eyes or maybe astigmatism, because trying to focus again on the rear sight, front sight, equal height, equal light thing, there's a lot of things that your body is doing and your eye is constricting and moving. This is all science stuff, you can look it up. But the easiest thing to do is just try to actually focus on your rear sight, then your front sight, then align them, and you'll see that your eye is starting to bounce back and forth. And then when you stare at the target, you stare back at your sights. All of those focal shifts are taking time away from you. Where if you have a red dot, you present the pistol, your presentation's good, the dot is superimposed over the target, and if you're ready to press the shot, you press the shot. And generally, since your dot is very small as compared to an iron sight system with a blurry backgrounded target, you're usually going to be a little bit more accurate because you can actually see the target and superimpose that very small, anywhere from 2 MOA up to 6 MOA dot, right over it and just get your work done. Another big benefit to the department is keeping people in service longer, especially if you have an aging staff out there, right? Because there are a lot of old dogs out there in the game that are definitely worth keeping around. Of course, there's some worth getting rid of. We all know that, right? But officers tend to start having problems with their eyes when they're towards the end of their career. And again, the agency I was at, when we swapped over to red dots, it was consistent that the older officers with 20, 25 years on that maybe had a couple years left, it was insane the amount of accuracy and speed they gained by going to a red dot. Even the ones that were against it, once we got everybody out on the range, let them try a couple different red dots out, the response was overwhelmingly, probably 99.9% positive. The accuracy, the speed, and the consistency on their qualifications was just immediate. They still have to obviously be able to shoot with iron sights as a backup. That's always supposed to be your backup option, right? However, being able to keep your staff on for those last couple of years is important because, as we all know, most agencies are severely understaffed. So having another year or two to plan for those big retirements, because they seem to come in bulk, is just a massive positive to the agency and a huge selling point to command staff and human resources. Now, with everything in life, it's not all positive, right? There are some drawbacks or things that you need to pay attention to when it comes to red dots. They're battery operated. You've got to change the batteries. They need to be zeroed, and you need to check that zero consistently. I would say at minimum, you need to do a quarterly zeroing to ensure that thing is still on, if not weekly, because you should be out training weekly, right? And you should know if your zero has shifted or if you've replaced the battery, screwed it back on, if it's a little different. So those are two big concerns. There is the possibility that it could break. It's an electronic thing, right? Things can fail. That is on you to keep your equipment serviceable, just like everything else in your life. You could also break the glass, whether it's in training, you drop your pistol, it seems to hit the ground at that right angle, or you are in a struggle and you bash that pistol against something. That is a possibility, which leads me to the last kind of drawback is you still need iron sights and you still have to be able to shoot with iron sights, right? Those are probably not going to go away. Most agencies are going to require you have backup sights because electronics can fail, glass can break, optics can break. But in my opinion, the negatives definitely don't outweigh the positives in any stretch of the imagination here. Now, if you were trying to get red dots in your agency, here are a few things to help you sell this. It's an accuracy enhancer. It's a positive target identification enhancer. Could help you against litigation or a bad shooting. Remember, everything's on camera. Things don't always look good. It's going to save on ammunition, less failed quals, less time on the range trying to fix people that maybe have aging eyes or trouble with iron sights. And of course, another big one is you'll be able to retain some of those older officers for a couple more years and plan for that next generation that is coming in. And worst case scenario, if your agency will not approve them and buy them for you, if they will approve them and allow officers to buy their own as long as they commit to the additional training, that's usually a really good way to get your foot in the door. Now, if you work for one of those agencies that will not allow you to carry a red dot on a pistol, sound off down below and let us know what their excuse is at this point in December of 2024, early 2025, why they think red dots on pistols are a bad idea. Make sure you check out ironinfidel.com. Stay healthy, stay hydrated, all the good stuff. Subscribe to the channel. We'll see you guys real soon.